I'm Bub Smith. You're watching Bluegrass Legends. Today, we're here with Gary Smith. I don't know what kind of legend he is, but he's my dad.
Big time.
So we're going to see what he's got to say. So we'll start off by asking you, where was you born and raised?
Born in Knott County, Kentucky, in a little bitty place called Pippa Passes.
What year was that?
1951.
Was you actually born in a hospital or at the house? Because I know a lot of people were born in their houses back then, weren't they?
I think I was born in the doctor's office. I'm really not sure. I don't know. It's been so long, I just don't remember.
And so how many brothers and sisters do you have in your family?
We started out, there was 8 of us total kids, 4 boys and 4 girls, which I was the oldest. But since then we've lost 2, 1 boy and 1 girl. So it's down to 3 boys and 3 girls.
And your dad was C.B. Smith.
C.B. Smith, and my mom was Gertrude Smith, which was Johnson. Her maiden name was Johnson.
And so you had your mom and dad, and you had 8 kids. Yep. I mean, there were 8 of you kids.
Yeah.
So, I'm just sitting here, that was 1951. And if you compare that to today, you don't hardly hear of anybody having, first of all, you don't really see many husbands and wives who stay together, let alone have 8 kids together. That would be a pretty rare thing today, wouldn't it?
Don't happen much anymore, no.
So what was, you all lived right there in Pippa Passes?
Yeah.
So, how many bedrooms did you have? I know you didn't have 8 bedrooms, did you?
No, probably 2 or 3 bedrooms. We slept quite a few together back then when we were little, young kids.
And as you can see, this is my iPhone here. What kind of iPhone did you have then when you was a kid?
Just good strong lungs, holler at people.
So tell everybody about that. Like back in 1951 when you were a kid, actually you was a baby, but as you was growing up in the 50s, no cell phones, no internet, none of that stuff.
No.
So what did kids do back then?
We played outside, in the hills, wherever, did whatever. We made games, made toys. We didn't have, our parents didn't have any money. Dad worked all the time, but with a bunch of kids that he had, it took everything he had just to buy what we absolutely had to have.
Now, didn't you all have a store there too, though, where you grew up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you grew up in the family place, the house,
Yeah.
and probably, 100 yards away was the store?
Yeah.
And you all owned that and operated it?
Yeah, my mom did, yeah.
So she tended to the store.
Right.
So where did y'all go to school? Was it right there where I went to elementary school?
No, we lived at where you're talking about that you went to school, where the elementary school was built. That's where we lived at, where I grew up at. But then our schools were about a mile up the road from where we lived at.
So where Alice
Lloyd
Lloyd
College is located. Yeah, grade school was there, and the high school was there also.
See, I'm confused because I thought Papa sold the land to the Caney Elementary School, and that's where you all went to.
No, we.
So you actually went to school at where Alice Lloyd College is today. That's where you went to elementary.
Where Alice Lloyd College tennis courts are today is where the elementary school was that I went to school to.
Wow. How'd y'all get there?
Walked for 2 or 3 years. We finally got a school bus, one school bus.
Y'all walked to school every day
Well, sure.
and back?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, that's Gosh, that's easily a mile, ain't it?
It's about a mile, yeah.
So that's a mile to school and a mile back, whether it's raining or snowing or whatever. And back then, when it snowed, there wasn't no snow days. You went to school.
He didn't slide off the road. We slid on the road having fun, going to school.
But they didn't cancel school for snow. Yeah, wow. Things
Unless it got really bad.
yeah. Times have really changed. So they didn't have a school bus or anything?
We finally got a school bus. I don't remember what grade I was in, probably, fourth grade, maybe, or fifth, I'm not sure.
So when I went to elementary school there at the other school I'm talking about, it was K through 8, and it still is today. Those schools are in Knott County. The elementary schools are K through 8. There's no middle school. There are no middle schools in Knott County. So what was the school you went to? Was it like that too, K through 8?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got all the kids. So how old are you right now?
73.
So you're 73. Who was the youngest? Junior?
Yeah.
How old is he, reckon, roughly?
60.
He's 60?
Yeah.
So all of you all got to go pretty much to the same school together?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the younger ones might have gone to the Caney Elementary, the new one where you went. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know what year that was
I
built.
can't remember when it was built. I don't know.
So anyway, back to the store. Mamaw, I never met my Mamaw. I was born in 78 and she died when? 75? Mm-hmm. So she died 3 years before I was born, so I never got to meet her, but she, what'd she have there? Just like bread and milk and pop, just whatever, just like a little general store?
Yeah, canned food. Yeah, no, that's just like a regular small grocery store.
So did all 8 of you all go down there and, it's hard to imagine making any money with 8 kids. I'd say y'all robbed it, didn't you? Took all the candy and.
No, that was not allowed.
She didn't let you?
No, they gave us what they wanted us to have. They gave to us, but
Yeah.
we couldn't just run in and grab anything we wanted anytime. No.
So your brother, you got 3 brothers, that you and Danny and Wayne and Junior. You and Danny were what, 2 years apart?
Yeah, well, not hardly, probably about 18 months or something like that.
So y'all were probably pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess did y'all pick on Wayne and Junior, or did y'all actually play with them?
Oh, no, they were a lot smaller than us when they come along.
Yeah. Which girl was you closest to in age? Are you closest to in age? I can't never keep up with it.
Janet is the oldest girl.
She is?
Yeah.
How far behind Danny is she in age?
I don't know.
Just a year or two?
I don't know anybody. Yeah. We're all pretty close. I'm 73 and Junior is
60?
60. He's the youngest, and there's 8 of us, so there's not a lot of room in between us all. That's for sure.
So y'all also had a farm, didn't you? Like pigs and cows and all that stuff?
Well, we
Chickens?
raised. I don't know if you can call it a farm, but we raised everything we had to eat. Yeah, we had pigs. We killed 2 or 3 hogs a year, and had a milk cow. Had chickens for our own eggs.
So didn't you have to tend to the farm before you went to school?
Oh yeah, we had to feed the animals and milk the cow
And then go to school, walk all the way to school?
Yeah. And in the wintertime, we didn't have boots to wear and everything to the barn, and it was pretty nasty in the wintertime where it's wet and cold, and we wore the same shoes to school that we wore to the barn, and when we get to school, get to warm it up a little bit, you can smell that. But the thing about it is, all the rest of the kids, most of them did the same thing, so
Right.
nobody thought anything about it.
So did Papa have his big garden between the house and the barn then too?
Oh yeah, we raised all of our vegetables there.
Did you work as hard in that garden as I did, me and Mo?
I doubt if anybody works as hard as you and Mo did. Yeah.
For the record, Papa would let me and Mo, my cousin, all he would do was let us throw rocks into the creek and get the rocks out of the garden because we wasn't no good for nothing else.
That's the truth. Have you ever told it right there?
Yep, it sure is. So anyway, what was the story you told me one time? Like, not many people had cable television back then, did they?
No. Oh, no.
So when did that come along? You was born in 51. When do you first remember being able to sit down in your house and watch TV?
Well, I don't know how old I was, but my dad worked for a hardware store in Hyman, Cody Hardware, Max Cody. And he bought a television, black and white television. Well, back then it was black and white because there was no color then, and there was no cable to hook to, so he had to buy a television line and an antenna that we ran that line. I think it was about 2,500 feet altogether. The line was up to the top of the mountain, and put an antenna there and hooked the line to it and fooled with it back and forth until we picked up channel 3 out of Huntington, West Virginia. And that's what we had for quite a while. And sometimes we could, when the weather was good, just right, we could also pick up channel 13.
So how old was you? What are you talking here? 10?
Probably, yeah, probably around there.
So when the signal would go out, didn't you and Danny, your brother, have to go up to the top of the mountain and fix it?
More than me and Danny, we'd take off, all of us kids, about 4 or 5 of us, I don't know at the time. And about every 100 feet or so, one would stop. The rest of us would go on, and then another one would stop about 100 feet or so. We spread out up and down the mountain to where we could holler back and forth at everybody. And if we find something wrong, we'd fix it. They'd yell down to the house, "Is it working?" And if it was
good.
we'd take off. Everybody take off back down the hill. If not, we'd just keep on going up the hill until we find something else. But we'd get it fixed that way.
And you know, some people don't know that are not from that area, but lots of rattlesnakes and copperheads. Did y'all ever run into any of them doing that or not?
Oh Lord, yeah. Saw them all the time. But you just watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
Get out of their way, and they'd get out of yours and go on.
Because you know, that's just on a different topic, but it just made me think, like, if you had to walk to school, where was the nearest hospital? Because there's still not a hospital in Knott County as of 2024.
No.
He's talking 1950s. They definitely didn't have one. So what would happen if you got bit by a venomous snake then? Where would y'all go?
Well, there was a hospital at Martin then.
Which is 50 miles from your house, ain't it?
No, it's only
30?
about 20, yeah, maybe 30.
30 minutes
there was
anyway.
Some hazard. There was hospitals. We had doctors. Had 2 doctors in Hyman, but
You might be in trouble though if you got bit by one of them.
well, most people then knew what to do with mothers doctored most of the kids back then. Had dads too.
So did none of y'all ever get bit? I'm sure you didn't. I've never heard them stories, but did nobody ever get bit by
No.
a copperhead or rattlesnake?
No.
You're pretty lucky because they're all over the place down there. And it sounds like you spend a lot of time in the hills.
We made enough noise when we were out playing like that. They heard us and they got out of the way before we get to them.
So let's fast forward here. So that was what life was like as a kid on Caney Creek, Pippa Passes. Not much to do. Didn't y'all also ice skate on the creeks? Mm-hmm. And had a lot of
The
fun. doing it?
winters have changed since I was a kid. The creeks would freeze over and stay froze all winter most times.
Yeah.
And we'd skate up and we'd slide on that ice, man. We'd skate.
So now let's get into the 60s. You're 1960 come along, you're 9 years old. Late 1970 come along, you're almost 20, 19, 20. So where did you go to high school?
Knott County High School.
So I went to Knott County High School, but you didn't go to the one I did, right?
No, I went to the old Knott County High School at Pippa Passes.
Where was it located exactly?
At the upper end of Alstoid College, right at the base of the mountain where you go across the mountain. The road goes across the mountain into Sloan Fork, Garner.
So where Lawrence Balders, his old church was right there, Caney Baptist
Church, yeah.
That's actually the church I got married in, but that's where the school set.
Right across from there,
Right there.
across the road, yeah.
And you went all 4 years there at high school?
Yeah.
Who was the principal? Can you remember back that far?
Oh Lord, yeah, Ed Madden, fine man.
Ed Madden was the principal?
Yeah, good man.
Well, he lived right behind it, didn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't know Ed was. I remember him when I was a kid growing up there. I remember he would drive about 20 miles an hour from Caney to Hyman. And if you got behind him, you just had a long ride.
Ed was a good man. He was principal the whole time, all 12 years that I was in school. He was principal, grade school and high school.
I had no idea he was
Yeah.
a educator. Who was the principal at your elementary school?
Ed. He was
Oh,
the
Ed.
principal, both of them, both schools, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Neither school was very big then. Back when I went to school, oh shoot, I'd say the high school attendance probably enrollment was probably, I don't know, maybe 300. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if it's that many. And
So
grade
who was,
school was not very much more than that, I'd say.
Who would you say? I mean, because growing up there in Caney, you obviously was close to your siblings. But as you got in high school, you probably met other kids. Who was your closest friends in high school? Can you remember just a handful of them?
Oh, I had a bunch of buddies in high school, good friends.
Anybody ever come out and stay all night at the house or anything?
Uh,
Probably not, because you probably
no,
didn't have
probably didn't have room for them.
Right.
They'd have to sleep on the porch.
So what year did you graduate high school?
1969.
1969,
Yeah.
and I would come along in 1978. So when did you meet Mom?
Oh,
Don't look at her. Just tell me here, because
I can't remember
You
for
should know
sure.
that.
I was working in a service station in Hyman, and she'd come by, ride by and get gas.
What year was this, reckon? Roughly.
Well, we got married in 76, probably about 74 or something. I guess.
So you were 5 years.
75.
You were probably 4 or 5 years out of high school before you met her.
Yeah,
Okay. What's the age difference in you all?
4 years, I think.
So she wasn't a freshman there when you was a senior or anything?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
So you first met Mom when you was at the gas station?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So she rode by. Who was she with? Do you remember?
Her cousin.
Debbie?
No, Brenda.
Brenda?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Brenda. What was her last name? Sloan?
Was you smooth like me, or was it her that hit on you first, or did you?
Oh, she's hitting on me. I was shy.
Was you?
Yeah, I was bashful. She was the aggressor.
Well, so you guys what would happen there? Y'all just, I know you couldn't exchange social media information because it didn't exist, so I guess you got her phone number or something?
No, just ask her if she wanted to go out on a date.
So did she live, I know, but most people listening probably don't know, but so you lived like a mile below the college. Mom actually lived about a half a mile above the college. Was she there at this time? So you all grew up literally 2 miles apart and didn't know each other?
She grew up in Ohio.
Oh, okay. I remember that. I just don't know when she came back or whatever, but
Yeah, she moved back down here when she was, about halfway through high school, I guess.
so Mom went to Ohio when she was a kid.
Yeah, she's a Buckeye.
Because Papa Mark and Grandma Norma, Mama Norma, they went up there to Dayton, or West Carrollton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And worked for many years and then came back.
Mark worked there for 30-some years, retired. And
Okay,
then
I got
came
you.
back.
So when they came back, you all met. So you go on the date. Obviously, it went well. You end up married in what, 76, you said?
Yep.
So you got married after Mama Gertrude died. I didn't know that.
Yeah, about a year after Mom died, yeah.
So where did y'all get married?
And her home, and Mark's home.
So Papa Mark and Mama's house?
Yeah.
And Lawrence Baldridge married you?
Yeah.
And he's the same guy that married me and Angie. That's pretty
Right.
wild.
Yeah.
So-
Mark's a good man.
Yeah.
Real good man.
So once y'all got married, that was 1976. You had a son, Stu would come along in 77, and then me in 78. And what year where did you go, like after high school? Tell me where you went. Like obviously you was working at a gas station, but did you have a stint in San Francisco?
Well, yeah, not long after I got out of high school, I had an uncle that lived in California,
What's his name?
Grover Johnson,
And that was your mom's
my mom's brother.
brother.
And he came home one summer to visit with his family, everybody, and him and his wife, and I think at that time they only had 2 kids. But he had a station wagon, and he had all the back seats down in that station wagon, and blankets, quilts all padded real good where they could play back there and sleep back there. Just had it made. And he talked me into going home with him and helping him drive back.
So how old was you, roughly?
Oh, 18 or 19,
Okay.
just out of high school.
Yeah.
And I decided to go with him.
Did you know him? I mean, pretty well. I mean, if he'd been in California,
Why? Not real well. Personally, no. I mean, I'd never really been around him that much. Some, but not a lot, But I knew him as far as that. But good guy, real good guy. But we took off. He had a brother who lived in Ohio, a little town, Beaver, Ohio. So we went up there on a Sunday and spent the night with Tobby, his brother, there in Ohio. And we left Tobby's house about 9 or 10 o'clock Monday morning and headed to California. He had the route mapped out, how he's going to go. So what we'd do, he would drive so far and he'd get tired and I'd drive. We sat, all three of us, him and his wife and me, in the front seat. It was a big long bench seat in the car.
what was his wife's name?
Rosalia.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she had the middle seat, and she was in misery probably the whole time, But we'd take turns driving, and that way we didn't stop. We didn't stay and spend the night anywhere.
So basically, you stop and get gas, go. Stop and get gas, go.
Well, we'd stop, get gas. We'd stop at places and clean up, wash up and clean up a little bit, and wake up and walk around and get a little exercise. But I remember one time I woke up and we were sitting beside the road, and I don't remember who was driving, but I think it was him. But I was Rosalie was in the middle, and I was laying on her shoulder on this side, and he was laying on her shoulder on that side. We had her pinned in,
I'd say that was a rough trip.
It was a rough trip.
So you get to California, San Francisco, right?
Well, there's a little town. It ain't a little town. It's across the bay from San Francisco, out of Alameda. There was a naval base out there, Alameda Naval Base. That's where Grover was. He was at port there, and
Oh, okay.
stayed there I guess they stayed there for a while on the base, and that's where he met Rosalia, and they dated for
So
a while.
Rosalie's not from Knott County.
No, she was Italian.
Oh, okay. I don't even know who that is. I mean, I've never really heard that name, but
Oh, sweet lady, real sweet lady.
so you're in California, and how long did that last? Because I know a Caney Creek kid ain't going to last in San Francisco too
I stayed
long.
out there about a month,
A month?
and it was fun being with him and everything, his family.
Did you work while you was out there or anything?
No, he told me, he said, "Won't you get out and find you a job?" I said, "Nah, I'm going to go back to Knott County probably."
Yeah.
But I stayed with him for a while.
How'd you get back home? I know he didn't bring you back, probably.
No, he paid for my way. He said, "I'll buy you a plane ticket now and fly you right all the way to Kentucky." I said, "No, I think I'm going to take a bus." And that was a long trip on a bus. But I wanted to see the country as much as I could, and I figured that was a good way. And man, it was a great trip. I wish I wish there'd have been somebody with me that I knew, and we could have had so much fun together, talk, but I didn't. But I still had a good time. It was a good trip.
So you get back home after about a month. Now, surely San Francisco ain't much different than Caney Creek, is it?
No.
A little bit bigger, ain't it? Did you see Alcatraz while you was out there? At least lay eyes on it? Do you remember?
No, I don't think so.
That's my dream vacation. We're going to go pretty soon. So anyway, you're back, and I guess you came back to Caney, Pippa passes.
Yeah.
And then probably got a job at the gas station, or is that right?
Well, I don't know if I worked there then. I'd left there again. I went to Ohio, stayed with an aunt there and worked a while, a little bit, come back home. Went to Indiana a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, I don't know. There was work back in those days. There was work anywhere you went. You could get a job anywhere you wanted to,
And that was kind of the MO for Knott Countyans, wasn't it? A lot of them went up to Indiana, didn't it? A lot of them are still there.
They are. Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio caught a lot of Knott County people, Eastern Kentucky people, went up there to work, and they ended up working there and living there and just retiring and staying there. They had family, their kids married there, and they stayed where their kids were at, and a lot of them are buried and died. Some of them, when they died, they brought them back to Knott County or wherever to bury them, but a lot of them was buried there, and I mean, that was their home.
So you're back in, after all those stints in San Francisco, Indiana, Ohio, you come back, you land back on your feet right there in Knott County, sweet home Knott County.
Yep.
And that's where you met Mom. And let's get into you got married in 76. Stu came along in 77. I came along in 78. Where were you working then?
Well, I worked, when we got married, I was working in a service station for Murdy Watts in Hyman.
What location in Hyman, just out of curiosity?
Well, it's hard to tell you. It's coming out of Hyman on 160 towards Brinkley up through there, and
Towards vocational school?
yeah. But it's just as soon as you start up the little bitty hill there out of Hyman, coming out of Hyman.
Frogtown?
No, right there in town, right there where the bridge is.
Oh.
The light. Murdy had a little service station right there on the side of the road.
By the Mighty Mart?
Where the Mighty Mart is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So you worked right there?
Yeah.
For
a
Murdy?
while, and then I got a job. My dad and his brothers and sisters leased their coal to this little company, and I talked to them, and I ended up getting a job working for them. Apollo Coal Company was the name of it. Two guys, Herb Stapleton and Gary Anderson.
Say that first name again.
Herb Stapleton.
A lot of people probably don't believe this when I tell them the story, but who is Herb Stapleton's son?
Herb had two sons.
Well, who's his?
Herb Jr. and Chris. Chris Stapleton, everybody knows, made it very, very big.
Yeah,
in
everybody knows.
singing, yeah.
But I want people to know so you actually, when I tell people that, now they know you worked for his dad. And I want people to know, though, what
Oh, yeah.
a great guy he was. Was he not?
Herb?
He was awesome, wasn't he?
Oh man, Herb was one of the best. I mean, if he told you something, you could take it to the bank. He was just as good to me as any man I've ever been around could be, or has been. Herb was a good guy. He'd go on vacations, and he'd have me. He had dogs. He had little hound dogs. And while he'd be gone for a week on vacation, he'd have me, and he lived in Paintsville at this time, He'd just have me go down there and feed his dogs for him and water them and make sure everything would clean their pens and everything, and I did. Herb was too good to me not to, and he'd, every now and then, on Friday, he'd say, I want you to get you and Vicky, bring the boys and come down this tomorrow. We're going to have this little cookout. We'll have a little cookout and just sit around and have fun. And we would. We went down there. We'd go to his house and we'd sit around out back. Herb would have a grill going. And he'd cook some hamburgers and hot dogs. And you boys would play, you and Stuart and Herb Jr. and Chris.
Didn't they have a sister?
Yeah. I can't remember her name.
I can't either. I barely remember. Me and Chris did what?
She was just a baby at the time, yeah. You and Chris get together there. One of you get a broom and another one get an old pan and some sticks, like he's playing drums.
Yeah, I remember that.
Playing that broom like a guitar, and you and Chris start singing and having, entertain us.
Little did I know he would make it
Oh man,
worldwide, and I didn't make it out of the.
That we were in the presence of a real singing superstar,
I swear, I think there's camcorder video of that somewhere today. I'd love to see it.
I would too.
I don't know if there is or not. What was his wife's name, Herb? Do you remember?
Carol.
Carol?
Yeah, she was a really, really nice lady. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the story of Herb Stapleton. You said the other guy was Gary Anderson you worked for. Good guy too, wasn't he?
I'm Gary Adams. Did I say Anderson?
I don't know. I did. You might have.
Adams. Gary Adams.
He was a good fellow though, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Who am I? I'm thinking of a Hillard Anderson. Who's that?
He mined coal for Apollo. They
Okay.
leased coal to him, and he ran a coal mine and mined coal for them.
So you worked at Apollo, which was in Wayland, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Now what you just said, Hillard worked at the coal mine in Pippa Pass.
Caney, yeah.
But we literally lived, I grew up in a house. How far would you say from that deep mine? Maybe 500 feet or closer?
Oh, no, it's farther than that.
It was right there, though. I mean, when they blasted and coal dust everywhere all the time, we literally grew up looking at a coal mine, end loaders and bulldozers all the time, coal coming out of the mountain.
That's not, you're thinking about the wrong mine.
I'm thinking about the bottom of our driveway. Which
That was Odine Holbrook and Buford Sloan had that coal mine out there.
Odine Holbrook?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Did Hillard work at that one, though?
No, Hillard had a mine up in the holler down there.
Oh, okay.
Slides Hollow.
All right. Oh, I got you. So yeah, just a little bit down the road.
Yeah.
But no, Odine's coal mine was seriously what,
Oh,
500?
yeah, it was right in the door.
We watched them every day, and me and Stu would go to school there at Caney. We'd walk to school, go down the driveway, and go to school. And I remember one time it was flooded real bad. There was a big heavy rain, and it might have been Odine. I don't know, but they helped us get across the driveway there. They would.
No, that was the guy. Actually, that was the guy that was doing the work, putting the mine in, doing
okay.
all the blasting, facing it, getting the mine set up, ready for them to start mining coal.
So you worked at Apollo Coal Company, and I know it would eventually close down, or is that right? Mm-hmm. What year was that? Reckon? How long did you work at Apollo?
I worked there 5 years, and they ended up going out of business. And I left. My last year there was 87.
1987.
Yeah.
So let me back up just a second because it's on my mind, and I remember this guy very, very vividly. I don't know what he is. I guess my uncle or cousin or something. Junebug Caudle. What was he to me? Well, Duke and Stacy.
He was no relation. He married my cousin.
Well, I know, but by marriage I was related to Junebug.
Well, just Kathy, you're Kathy's cousin, so.
But I remember going around their house all the time, didn't we?
Yeah.
And he had a green truck or something. He would climb the hill or something in.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When you're a kid, it seems bigger.
Yeah.
But Junebug was, he would pass away in a coal mining accident in '86, wasn't it?
I think
Or
so.
'84.
Yeah. No, it was not. It was about probably 85 or 86 because, like I said, my last year was 87 at Apollo, and I was there, and it was a real long time before I left there. You know.
Was you and Junebug pretty tight?
Oh gosh, yeah, real good friends.
And you said,
friends.
Was he a preacher?
Yeah.
I didn't know that he preached.
Yeah, he had joined the church over Baptist, and
Which one, I mean, out of Stephanie and Stacy and Duke, which one was more like him?
man, I tell you, both boys, Stacy and Duke, are both just like him.
Yeah.
You know, they so much similarity between him and them, both of them. You know, good guy, real good guy.
I just wanted to throw that in there because I remember, where did he work at the coal mines? It wasn't.
National Mines down about 4 miles down the road.
Yeah. So a lot of, for the record, I mean, you had Odine's mine. What was it called? Do you remember?
No.
And then you had Hilliard's, and then you had the National Mines. There were mines everywhere, weren't there?
National Mines, though, was a big outfit, big corporation. They employed at one time about 700 people there.
That's where Junebug worked.
Yeah. Yep.
So they lived in Hollybush, didn't they?
Yeah.
So he didn't have a far drive to work, did he?
Oh, no.
But for you driving to Apollo was what,
Well, it wasn't that much.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
But anyway, 1987 rolls around. Apollo was going out of business. Did Herb let you know in advance? How'd that work out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He took care of me really good. He kept me around even when they didn't need to. I mean, they should have sent me home. But anyway, they were just very good to me. But at that time, Toyota had made the announcement. It was all in the news that Toyota was building. They were already building a big plant in Georgetown, and to build cars. So I thought, I'm going to apply for this. So I went to unemployment office where you had to go and apply back then for that. And I went and applied. I put in the application, and I got a call one day to come to take a test.
For the record, Toyota, Georgetown was about 160 miles north of where we lived.
Yeah.
Pretty good haul, 3 hours away. So anyway, you get the call and you drove all the way up there to take a test.
No, back to the unemployment office. Took one there to get it. That got it started. That was just a basic test that they called. That everybody they called, they gave the test, and it eliminated some people, you know. But anyway, I got another call again to take another test, and then I had to come to. I don't remember where I went. Once I went to Frankfurt for a test. I can't remember where I all went. Prestonsburg, just different places. But finally, I got hired. They called me and said they wanted to offer me a job, and I sure did accept it right fast because I was out of work. I'd been out of work probably about a year and a half when they called me. Or about a year, no, it was in '88. I started work at Toyota in April of '88. So I've been out of work about a year, and things were getting pretty tight, you know.
I try to tell people that work there now at Toyota, what was your badge number? Do you remember?
857.
That's a pretty low number compared to a lot of people out there who's, you know, they
Oh,
employ
yeah,
thousands of people.
I started really early there. When I started in April of '88, we built the first car in May. So I was there for a month before we built the first car that was built at Toyota.
Didn't somebody get killed out there when they were building it, fell off something or something? You remember that?
No, I don't know.
I do. I'll tell you about it later. We'll look it up, but I think it was before you got there. But so you worked at Toyota. I know that when you got that letter, I always thought it was a letter that came in the mail or a phone call. I don't know what it was, but I remember you told us, and I wasn't very happy about it, and neither was Stu because we knew we had to move, and I had just completed my 5th grade year in school, and I would have been going to 6th grade the following August, and my teacher was going to be my aunt, Ruby Jacobs, and my 8th grade teacher would have been my uncle, Daryl Sparkman, and I didn't get neither one of those, so that kind of bummed me out. And then we didn't have social media and stuff. So when we got to Georgetown, it was the only way you could talk to your cousins and friends was write them a letter or call long distance, which was an expensive phone call then. But it was just different. But anyway, it was a great move. I don't know what would have happened if Toyota hadn't called. Do you have any idea?
Oh, I don't even think about that.
So it was like God gave you the job, the opportunity to.
He blessed me with a very good job and a good life. He sure has.
Yeah, and that's a big sacrifice. You know, I mean, I think about that now. If that happened to us, would I be able to leave and go 2 hours north? I guess you got to do what
It's
you
a
got to
hard
do.
move. When you have to leave home, it's a tough move when you have to.
Do you remember the U-Haul trip to Georgetown?
Oh, yeah.
Am I right, or do you even remember? It seems like we listened. Was it me and you and Stu? And it seemed like we listened to the Sweet 16, Richie Farmer and Rupp Arena. Seems like we were listening to that.
I don't know.
I don't either. I can't remember, but I'd like to think I did if I didn't. But what year was that? 88?
Yeah. Well, no, when we moved down there, it's probably '89 because I stayed down here about a year by myself before you guys came down here.
Well, when you say by yourself, you stayed with your good buddy, didn't you?
Yeah, good friend Johnny Martin. Yeah.
We got to throw him in here because that's the big dog. I call Johnny the big dog because I'm the little puppy and he's the big dog, right?
That's right.
And
If you can't run with the big dogs, lay on the porch. That's what he always said.
That's what I was always told. I laid on the porch many a times. But,
Yeah.
So anyway, you retired from Toyota. We'll go through that real fast. You worked there almost 20 years, got out of there, retired, moved back to Knott County. And you got back in Knott County about what, 2005, 2004?
2005, last year at Toyota.
And then you get back to Knott County.
When I got to Knott County, when we moved back, I've been there about a month or 2 months, and I was over at Hyman and stopped in to see my friend Greg Nelson at the funeral home he built there, a new funeral home there in Hyman, and stopped in to see it and talked to him, and he said, "When are you going to start work for me?" I said, "When do you want me to?" I was acting a fool, just playing around. He said, "Anytime." I said, "Well, you want me to come over and start Monday?" He said, "Yeah."
Greg did?
Yeah. I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah, I'm serious. I want you to work for me." I said, "Okay." So I started working for him on that Monday and worked there 5 years, and I got sick with an aortic aneurysm and had.
We'll get to that in a minute. That's what I was going to say. But now, Greg Nelson, hired you, and he hadn't been in that. How long had he been there in the funeral home? Because it was a new building then,
It was
right?
new. It'd been built about a year or something.
So he's trying to build it up with good people around him.
Yeah.
And he got you to come in there, and several other good guys that I remember working there.
Yeah, he had me and Jimmy Smith and Kermit Schwartz.
Yeah, and what was that guy's name? Junior Bowling?
Oh, he didn't work there. He was just he just came around and hang around with us.
Okay, I just remember that crew. And then, what's Greg's dad's name? I can't remember. Roger?
Roger Nelson, yeah.
Is he still living?
No,
He's not.
no.
But he, don't take your mic
Oh,
off
I
her.
didn't know what was pulling my shirt down.
But anyway, Roger started those, right? They got one in Martin and one in Hyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those guys, I tell you what, they bury a lot of people, don't they?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Which one buries the most?
Martin, you know, a
So,
lot.
so you worked for Greg. How long was you there before you got that aneurysm?
5 years.
So you were there 5 years, and then one night, tell them how. Well, I'll just throw it out there because I talk faster than you, and we're running out of time. So you laid down to bed one night, and what was
No, I
happening?
went home from work hurting really bad in my back, and I laid around there all evening, and Stuart trying to get me, him and Vicky trying to get me to go to the doctor, and I said, no, yeah, I'll be all right. But man, the pain in my back was just, it's excruciating, but awful. And I got in bed about 9 o'clock, and Stuart went home. He said, well, if you decide you want to go, need to go, let me know. And about maybe an hour later, Vicky came in there, asked me how I felt, and said, you ought to go. When I found out, I said, well, call Stuart and tell him if you don't care, come back up here and take me. So he came back, and he had to lead me out to the car. Doggone, I was about gone. Mm-hmm. Got to the little hospital up there, and they finally found out what it was, and they flew me to the Lexington.
So you guys left there after he got you to the car. Stu got you out to the car. Yeah. You had to make that drive past Apollo Coal where you used to work, and then some. So you ended up, what is that, a 30-minute trip down to Martin?
Yeah.
Stu probably dropped the hammer, so y'all was probably there in 20 minutes, 25.
Yeah.
You get there in Martin, Kentucky. They run tests. They find out you've got a
aortic aneurysm
that is already ruptured, right?
Yeah, it's leaking.
Yeah, so it's leaking, and I remember they put you on the chopper. Stu called me. I had my bags packed, and he said they didn't know you were either going to Vanderbilt or
they didn't know where it was going to.
They didn't know.
So a long time to find out.
I was literally sitting on 25 out here. I was right there at the interstate. Did I go south? Where am I going? I didn't know where they were taking you, so I was waiting to see. So luckily for me and everybody else, and for you especially, because it was closer, I was 10 minutes away from UK Hospital at that moment, and that's where they said they were bringing you. Yeah. So I just went straight to UK, and I watched your helicopter come in. I'll never forget it when they brought you in. The family, we all finally got there and everything before you actually went back for the procedure. And I looked straight at Dr. Endine, your surgeon at the time, and I asked him straight up, one-on-one, I said, be honest, Doc, what are his odds of living? And he told me that, I'll never forget what he said. He said that it's a very high mortality rate. And he said it's going to be about a 5-hour procedure. And he said he's probably got about a 10% chance of survival. We go into the waiting room. Your sisters were there. Mom was there. Me and Stu, all of us. He comes out about two or 3 hours later, it seems like. It wasn't very long. And I thought it was over because he said it was going to be 5 hours. But he opened that door and he said, I just want to let y'all know everything went well. And we were like, what? Thank God. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
But I'll never forget when you got in ICU after your surgery, the nurses didn't know how to treat you because they said they'd never seen anybody survive that. So do you remember that? Oh, Mom's not on this interview, but that's what they said, that they'd never seen anybody survive it, so they didn't really know what to do.
They told me that. One of them did.
So I think God had a little bit of, he had plans for you because you were, 59 when that happened?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Yeah, 58 or something, yeah.
So you're about 58, 59 years old, and how old are you now?
73.
So that's all that extra time there that God gave you.
No, wait a minute. That was in 2010. That was 13 years ago. So
I went to Cardome. I don't know.
I was about 60 then.
So either way, God gave you about 13, 14 more years here that you shouldn't be here probably, medically speaking.
Right.
Heavenly speaking, you'll go when it's your time.
When he calls me.
Speaking of that, are you ready if he calls you?
Absolutely.
You've made your heavenly reservations.
Man, I was on that big time that night, because when the doctor told me I had an aneurysm, 8.5 centimeter or millimeter, what is it?
I can't remember. I got the ultrasound picture.
Whatever it was, aneurysm, and it was leaking. That scared me, because I've always heard if you have an aneurysm and it ruptures, you're dead right there. You know, you pump out, your blood's gone in just in a minute. And that scared me, and I was laying there thinking on that bed that night, well, this is it. Tonight's it for me. This is going to take me out. And I did a lot of talking to the Lord, and I felt good. I wouldn't have been. Stuart was there. He was scared to death. That was when we were at Martin Hospital. And I told him, I said, don't worry, Stuart. I'm fine, buddy. I'll be fine. Either way, I said, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I felt that way, and I let it go with that. And I've been that way ever since.
So the Bible says that if you're absent from your body, what?
Present with the Lord.
So you feel like you would have been present with God if you'd have.
I sure feel like I would have, yeah.
And that's kind of what we have to hold on to, right? That's what our faith is all about. So,
Yep.
And do you remember though, after surgery, they said when they did an ultrasound of your heart, they said they saw Stu in there like 90% and only me like 10% in your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Or was it 95 and 5?
It was pretty low on your side, yeah.
But anyway, you were very blessed. I'll say that. There ain't no luck involved in that.
None.
And that doctor will tell you that too. Dr.
Yeah.
Endine will tell you that was by the grace of God. But no, we are very thankful for Dr. Endine having the talents to
Absolutely.
do what he
Yeah,
needed to
man.
do.
God bless him right along with me.
Did you go back to work at the funeral home after that?
No, I was
done.
I've not been able to do anything since that surgery. They saved my life. They fixed the
rupture.
yeah, they fixed all that. But the surgery is just absolutely terrible. It took everything in me. It really hurt me, and I'm still hurt from it. It was rough.
So the vena cava, what I think's what I remember them
The
saying.
vein, yeah.
That was what was ruptured, wasn't it, or something?
Well, no, the artery. The artery was ruptured, but I guess they run together. You know, the artery takes your blood out into your body, the veins bring it back. The artery was going down, the vena cava comes back, and they're pretty close together right around the spine, down in your abdomen.
Yep.
And evidently the artery that aneurysm had got so big, it rubbed a hole in the vena cava. And when the artery ruptured, somehow, and Dr. Endine, he said, I've heard of this, but I've never seen it. He said, I don't know. Somehow it bridged from the artery to the vena cava, and when the blood started leaking out of the artery, it rolled right over into the vein and come right straight back to the heart. So I didn't lose any blood at all. The only thing, I lost blood flow.
Yeah.
From that point down.
So if it didn't bridge, you would have not made it. You would have been dead before
I'd
you
bled
got
out,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, you'd have died that night for sure. But so for people, I don't know if you'll admit this on camera or not, but Dr. Endine told me to my face that smoking cigarettes thickens your artery walls.
He thins them.
Or thins them. It does something to your arteries.
Thins them, yeah. When I asked him after I got better and went back to see him after a 3 or 6 month visit or whatever, I asked him what caused that, and he said smoking. He said smoking caused it. I laughed. I said, you doctors like to blame smoking for everything. He said, well, you can say what you want. He said, I'm telling you what caused it. Smoking weakens your artery walls, and it causes them to get weakened. That causes that aneurysm to start, and it swells out, and then before you know it, it's
How many
a big
years
old
did
thing.
you smoke? When did you start?
About 45 years.
How many packs a day?
At least 2.
There you go. So you're lucky that you're blessed that you're sitting here still.
Well, that's already also destroyed my lungs too. Now I'm in bad shape with my lungs, so smoking's going to get the best of me anyway.
Well, none of us know when our day is going to come, but the Bible does say one thing for sure, that, we're all going to face death unless Christ comes back first. So
We're all going to face
it's
death
appointed to
one way or
man to
another.
die once and then the judgment. So
That means we're all going to die.
That's right. So, and I think the key thing is for people watching this is if you haven't made those reservations in heaven, you better make them because you never
Better
know.
be getting busy.
So, and now you're sitting here and you're how you think you're gonna make it to 100?
Oh Lord, no. Well, that's according to
That's what I was
the
getting ready to
Lord.
say. Whatever he wants, right?
Whenever the good Lord calls me, I'll go, but not until.
And he comes to Lexington once a year ever since that ordeal to see the surgeon that did his surgery, and he'll see him tomorrow too. And you're going to be seeing him tomorrow.
He keeps on top of it, make sure everything's still doing good. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that's pretty cool. And
Oh yeah, he's been good. He's been a good doctor for me.
yeah, he calls you his miracle patient.
Yeah.
But last question for you. Kentucky Wildcats start their basketball season tonight. It's an exhibition game, but Mark Pope is the new coach. How far is the Cats going to go this year?
I don't know. I think they'll do good. I don't know that they're going to win any championships this year or not, but I think they'll be well on their way towards championship territory after this year.
Are they going to make the 64 tournament? Or
Maybe. It's just according to SEC, how tough they are, how they can do in the SEC tournament and all that.
I've got them going to the Sweet 16 this year.
I hope you're right.
I hope they win it all, but
Yeah, I do too.
yeah.
I think Mark Pope's a good is a good coach, a good pick for Kentucky. I really do.
So what's your message for Kanan and Landon and Logan and all theirs to come? Megan and all of them and Frank and Chum Chum and the rest of them, the future generations that'll take our place.
Yeah, buddy, things are so different now today. The only thing I can tell them is to work, try to live their life for the Lord, to get things right, get ready to go to heaven when you leave this world.
All right.
Because you're definitely going to leave it. And you got two places to go. Heaven or hell. Hell's a real place too. People don't want to say that too much, but it's real.
You know, Jesus mentioned hell more than he did heaven.
And actually hell is not eternal. Hell is at the end, when everything's over with, we're going to heaven or we're going to go to the lake of fire. Hell's going to be cast into the lake of fire also, which burns forever and ever. And it's worse than hell is.
All right.
It's bad. You don't want people to think it's okay. They don't have any idea. They better get their thinking cap on and get right with that.
Will you go public with this one? Who you voting for, Trump or that other one?
I didn't know Trump's the only one running it.
What happens if Harris and them take this one from us? Or,
Well, I've been nibbling on an apple here during this. That's probably what I'll be living on if I can afford them.
and then maybe I can get the crumbs
You
from
might
your bread.
you might get the core. Yeah.
So anyway,
It looks rough if
I think honestly that no matter what, I think the Bible's being fulfilled, and I truly believe that
I do too.
It's getting worse every year,
Yeah, I do
and no
too.
matter what happens, I think every day, obviously, we're closer to the end of time,
Yep.
and people better be not
They
worried
better
about
be
Trump
ready.
and Harris. They better be worried about Jesus and themselves,
Absolutely.
because that's what I think. That stuff, politics is a what's the word I'm looking for there? It's a distraction technique from the devil,
Yeah.
and people better stay focused
Yeah.
on the Lord.
Absolutely.
Anyway, appreciate the interview.
No problem.